Islam, 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 Moorish America. Islam, 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 Moorish America. I want to rise and give all praises to the great God Allah, our Father God Allah, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. We give honors to our Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere, and therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. We give honors to our Grand National Seal, Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and bylaws, and honors to all of you who are living manifestation and personification of everything that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. Islam, Moors, this measure I come forth before you with tonight is a very important measure because we want our Moorish kin to get a grand drawing and get a clear conception as to why you have so much confusion within this movement in this special era and time. And a lot of times when you see me demonstrating on here, I'm basically cleaning up a lot of the debris from the NBC behavior, and we can say measures that were set out here by individuals years ago. And we're going to go into some measures. And also, we want to expose those who have been fleecing our people and pretty much making profits off of our people and then abandoning the people, so to speak. And this particular measure tonight will be dealing with the subject title as you see it here. Islam, Brother Thaddeus Bennett Bay. Gratitude. It is entitled Shake Way Hell Exposed. And so it's a reason why I spelled it as Shake Way Hell. Some of those may already be familiar, but we're going to go into this. And I want you Moors to be careful, as to those who prop themselves up, as being so-called leaders of the movement. And the Shake Way Hell that I'm referring to is the author of this particular book. And I will let you know how we came into contact and all of that in a minute. I just want to share some things with you before I go into all of that. And many of you probably have seen this book. This book is, held in reverence by many Moors. And this particular book, was wrote by one that actually didn't have the best interests of the people at heart. And I'm going to show you some things that many of you don't know about this particular one. Let me expand this a bit. And this is so that our Moorish king can get a grand drawing. Now, this particular one was a Yorkite at one time, a follower of Brother Malachi York. He was also a 5%er. He flirted with the Hebrew Israelites a little bit. And then he found his way into the realms of Moorish science, for a brief moment. And I want to show you some things here. Because if you write about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you write about Prophet Noble Drew Ali based upon love. And you demonstrate, also that which would uplift the man that you say that you follow, walk in the footsteps of, so to speak. But this particular book here that was written called Noble Drew Ali, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the movement that started it all, it had no intent in uplifting the Moors. It's pretty much a lot of guesswork that was put forth in this particular work at best. And I can give you many different examples of that here, of one who's simply guessing and not one that actually knows who the prophet is. For example, And you know we were talking about exposing these works of these ones as well. So you have here the prophet returns from the east and began his ministry in Newark, New Jersey, as Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept. Now look at the word play here. He said in the year 1913, when Prophet Noble Drew Ali returned from overseas, he would enter into this mad human drama and start his missionary work for the betterment of mankind. Some accounts say he actually came in 1912 from overseas and went directly to the White House and demanded a Moorish flag back that was taken down with the conquest of the native Moors on this land. Some Moorish authorities claim this to be the proverbial cherry tree chopped down by George Washington, but how much truth to this claim about the cherry tree is folklore at its best. So this lets you know, for one, in writing this book, this one had no knowledge of the cherry tree in reference to dealing with pretty much, the colors in the flag that will be represented according to the prophet, stating deal with the red and the green, your vine and fig tree, and so forth and so on. So that's symbolic language being spoken when it talks about this cherry tree. Everybody know about that particular parable or parabolistic story. So we can see he is not sure, and that's why he say some accounts say. Some Moorish authorities claim, right? And this would be the narrative if you go throughout this whole book. Someone said this, someone claimed that, even there's one here. If you're a follower of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, you don't go into hearsay, so to speak. You do your best in researching, and you put the truth out there for clarity. Look at this. He said, now, Prophet Noble Drew Ali would soon enter into this diverse Muslim environment, as many different sects of Islam came over here from Arabia and Syria trying to convert the so-called Negro in that day to Islam. And so the mission was set. Prophet Noble Drew Ali would give out business cards or pamphlets introducing himself as Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept student, claiming to cure cancers, also claiming to have the missing 18 years of the life of Jesus that was absent from the Christian Bible. See figure 5. Now notice he said that the prophet, as an Egyptian adept student, came claiming to cure cancers, claiming to have the 18 missing years of the life of Jesus, whom we call Yehoshua. Now, ask yourself the question, do this sound like someone that is speaking from a knowledge of Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Or is this one speaking from an special level, of merely guesswork? You don't say Prophet Noble Drew Ali claimed to do anything. Either he was able to do it or he was not able to do it. You see, he is writing as if he is someone outside of the movement by making certain statements. When people make claims, a claim could be made as something that is accepted as truth or, can be disputed. So for you to write from this position and say that at this time he was claiming to be a sheik, Sheik Way L is what he called himself. When you write from this special perspective, it sheds light upon the narrative, so to speak. And the whole book pretty much goes into this area. For example, it is said that Prophet Noble Drew Ali, stood in front of these men of Arabia. See, it is said, he's speaking as one in a level of belief and not one that had came into the knowledge of knowing. You see? And we can go into all of this, but I'll let you more. Some of you already read this, Here, it is said later in the year 1916, the prophet would come up. Someone said, it is said. Also, there are a lot of myths surrounded by what happened with the prophet those years, and this book served at least to spark a conversation to get a lot of old Moors to reveal what it is, as it is that they have passed on, or been passed on to them, so that we can have a more full and detailed account. So he's letting you know that he is confused, because he, in other words, wasn't founded. He was going at the time off of what somebody told him was the truth. And so this caused confusion in his mind. And this brother was not as developed Moorishly as many of Moors may believe. I spoke with this brother and had conversations with him. But really, what really stood out with me about this particular brother, what drew my attention to him actually, it had to do with our Moorish flag and the Moorish American government. He wrote an article speaking on what he called debunking the myth, and he started attacking the Moorish flag of the Moorish American government. And so, me being the Moor that I am, rather than go back, and just trying to be the honorable Moor, I called the Moor up and we spoke about this special drawing. And so he went to going into attacking the Grand National Chairman. So I asked him more, I say, well, Moor, do you know our brother Pleasant Bay? Have you ever spoke to him? No, Moor, I don't need to speak to him. I don't need to talk to him. All I need to know of what I done seen already is such and such and such and such. And so I say, Moor, how can you say that you are Moorish and you demonstrate the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and you have a hatred for a brother that you never even knew? You never talked to him or nothing. You didn't even call him before you put this article out, but you are speaking on something that you have no knowledge of. So I'm trying to shed some light with you. So, it went on, and I'm a straight shooter. I don't play no games. So I told the brother he was ignorant. Not ignorant to mock him or whatever. In other words, ignorant in the fact of ignoring, a special measure even when it's being brought forth to you. So he's like, Moore, you don't call me ignorant. You can't do that. I say, yes, I can. I say, man, I'm trying to tell you a particular measure, and here you are attacking this brother. I say, let's call him up. I don't need to speak to the brother. So that started our first encounter with each other. That was one of the measures. And as we went on, we end up ending the conversation, and so he came out later with the myth of his definition and concept of the Moorish flag. Whereas he stated that the Moroccan flag is different from the Moorish flag that the temple flies now, because to him, the Moroccan flag, he says, is outlined in black. And I'll give you an example of that in a second. Matter of fact, right now. He say, this is the Moorish flag, according to the MST of A. I ain't even got my bad. This is what he said. This is the Moorish flag. This particular demonstration here. He said the Moorish flag, is basically this way here. It don't have no black outline. And he wasn't even trying to go into the interlacing of the star and everything. See, there's this interlacing, and then our particular flag, if you look, you see this right here, actually say flag of Morocco. But I want to show you a few of these flags. This is the main one he was trying to emphasize. You see the black lines here? And there's plenty Moors out here that actually have the same flag with the lines around it. So, he would say this wasn't it, because it was broken and all this type of demonstration here. Just a whole bunch of them. Okay, he would come here and say, well, this is the Moorish flag. Because this flag that you see the brother holding up here, it's not outlined in black. You can't see this. It's still a pentagram, no matter how you look at it. The seal of Solomon. Right? And he said, that's the flag that the Moroccans have, right? Now, when you look at the United States flag here, the Moroccan flag that they have next to it, if you pay close attention, you don't see no black around this, do you? But that's not considered the Moorish flag by the United States. It has no black in it. Now let's blow up this bigger image with Hillary here. It's the same flag here. You don't see no black outline around that flag. That's really the Moroccan flag. You see? You don't see it. But there are flags that have these special outlines around them. But yet, even though that flag doesn't have an outline around it behind Hillary Clinton, as we just pointed it out, it's still known as the Moroccan flag here. So that was his way of trying to distinguish the difference between the Moorish flag and the Moroccan flag. Now I'm going to pull a picture up here, and I dealt with a brother on this special measure. And I want you to follow me with this slowly. Let me show you something about Morocco. You see this flag here? This is the king of Morocco. He has a flag behind him. It has a green star, and it's really a golden outline. You can actually see it here as well, sitting behind the brother. They got many different ways, that they display this flag. Here's another one here with the gold outline around it, right? Now watch this. Check this out. Look at that flag behind the brother. This flag has no black lines in it, but it's still a Moroccan flag. So that was a poor argument, and you can see it here even bigger. You don't see no black outline around. The only thing you see is fringes on this flag right here. Here's another depiction of it. You see? That's that flag. You don't see the black outline around it. So no matter how you look at it, the Moroccans fly their flag in many different ways, and that's a better picture of it. Let me see, can I get this blowed up? I want to show you some of the stuff that was brought up, and these were certain conflicts in regards to dealing with this. So that's another measure right there, same flag. You see? So the point is made right here, but I just wanted to show you these are some of the accusations, that the brother was making, in reference to the Moroccan flag being a flag that just had black around it, and it wasn't a flag like theirs. You can see they're the same flag. So that was a very poor argument. But many Moors use that now in their conversations to try to differentiate the flags. But you find out you're still dealing with the same banner. So now I want to go a little further here. You see here the brother was calling himself the Supreme Grand Sheik. Notice he has on a black sash. Right? It's funny, he said when the truth come out, some people fall apart. I felt that way when I seen him debating Ali Muhammad, because he was not qualified to debate that brother at that time. These was elementary questions, and he could not defend the prophet. And from what I found out, and I won't say who the Moor is that put me up on this special one, but this Moor was very involved with this demonstration. And he told me that this brother was unprepared, and he didn't really care about the prophet, being defended. He was only trying to put himself on the platform of being noticed, so to speak. And this was somebody very close to him that told me this. And so he began calling himself, he was a self-proclaimed Supreme Grand Sheikh. If you look, you can see, and I'm going to show that to you. It's in the next photo, a couple of them later. You see the medallion that he has on has a black background on it. When have you ever known the prophet to demonstrate, in any of these ways, right? He was a very confused and troubled brother. He didn't really know the science. He only guessed at the science, and then basically brought behavior from, his original teaching. He was following in the way of Malachi York and the 5% demonstration. Nothing against those particular measures, but he was trying to reinvent the wheel and do his own thing, so to speak. So that's why he traveled through these different bodies. And I'm going to show you where he ended up in a minute. He was also the one who came up with the with the story that this particular flag that you see sitting up here inverted with the upside down star as the prophet did. We're going to blow that up so you can see it. The prophet knew exactly what he was doing. And as a matter of fact, he not only knew what he was doing, he did it for a reason. And just as the reason why he had this flag flying, backwards. Now, he would tell you, well, this is so that the people can see the flag from the ground. And if they seen the flag from the ground, from the outside, then they would notice that the flag was basically the way it was supposed to be. Now, that would sound good if we didn't see, these curtains that are right here behind the window. And as you can see, the windows are actually covered by curtains. So if the windows were covered by curtains, then how would the prophet be showing these flags to people outside of his office? How would that make any sense to you? Because that's exactly what's going on. See this here? The flags are covering the window. You see? So many Moors took that and they ran with it. No, the prophet flew this banner upside down because he was showing that they were in adversity to the principles that they represented. This is why the prophet flew that particular flag that way. And I went over this countless times. So nevertheless, these were things that he tried to come up with to support his argument and make himself seem like he was a champion defending what he considered the Moorish flag. You see? So, another measure that came up, and this document is one of the most controversial documents that was put out here opposing our prophet. And this particular one would tell you in his documents, in his book, when he finished it, because that's what a lot of this was, this demonstration dealing with where European Patrick Bowen here, if you can see him right here, this guy, he would actually credit a lot of his information to Ali's men, a group that Lord Abba himself was affiliated with. And also he would just say Sheikh Wayel in some of his documents. But many took this documentation, which was a bunch of guesswork as well. If you read the book that it ended up becoming, prior to him putting a lot of this information out, These were the only pictures that were known of Ahmed Suleiman until I put the pictures out that you see in my archives, where it actually have high Egyptian Mason, Dr. Suleiman and all that. That picture you don't see in Bowen's works because he hadn't gotten hold to him. I did present certain information, and this is where ones begin to try to dig into this information. But after he finished this documentation, Patrick Bowen, who accredited Lord Abba in certain documentations for he was thanking him for some of the information that Lord Abba gave him. My thing is, why would you give someone ammunition to try to tear down the movement of the prophet? So I begin to question, other aspects of what this brother was demonstrating, and look at him even closely, And here in this particular area, in the end of the document, after Bowen was done, he said after finishing his article, he came across a story by Muhammad al-Ari, which is another individual who has been writing to discredit Prophet Noble Drew Ali as well. I think he may be an Ahmadiyya movement Muslim, if I ain't mistaken. But he's definitely coming from the Orthodox perspective of the Eastern world. And this information that was found here, it actually supports the history that we have, but Patrick Bowen basically stated that he had got this from him after he finished this article. And it states in 1905, Noble Drew Ali met Egyptian Dr. Suleiman and invited him to come back to the United States with him, which means that they are confirming that the prophet indeed left the United States, which we have confirmed that as well. Then he states in 1910, Noble Drew Ali joined the Pullman Porters Union. By 1913, he had also become a high-level Shriner and member of the Grotto. Now, this is where they get the twisting and everything up, because Suleiman had founded a Shriners organization. They try to tie him in with that, but he don't know, Muhammad al-Ari don't know that the prophet fell out with Suleiman and Reverend Dixon based upon these particular Masonic behaviors. Because the prophet wasn't trying to teach Shrinism to the Moors. The prophet was teaching Moorish science to the Moors. You see, under the auspices of the Canaanite temple. You see, and Suleiman was actually a co-founder. But Suleiman's main agenda, if you look at all of his information, it will always say that he was trying to teach Mohammedan Masonry. That wasn't, when do you ever hear the prophet make reference to Mohammedan Masonry in any of his Moorish material? When do you ever hear the prophet refer to himself as a Shriner in any of his material? He did say that Masons and pastors or preachers will be the last to accept his teaching, and they was going to fight him tooth and nail, but they can't win. He said that. But you don't see the prophet promoting Masonry in his teaching. He also said that he came to take the cover off all secret organizations. So this is basically the assumption of many different authors. They always tried to place the prophet into the shrine, and we already covered all that type of measure. But nevertheless, they say it was in this year, 1913, he started his first temple, the Canaanite temple, with Dr. Suleiman. You see? Because Suleiman was co-founder, not the founder. Because a lot of people got this through Patrick Bowen, saying that, and he didn't even say necessarily that Suleiman was the founder. He said he was basically trying to figure out as if Suleiman was the founder of, this is who the prophet came up with the Egyptian adept demon. He went off into all of that type of foolery. The prophet had already got his degrees by the time he met Suleiman, before they came back to the United States. So the original name of Noble Drew Ali's movement, according to Muhammad al-Ari's research, was the Moorish Divine and National Movement. You see, the National Divine Movement, right? But in all actuality, this was established in 1916, May 1st. You see, this came later. The Canaanite temple was established in 1913. Then in 1923, after the prophet had already departed, you know, basically they tried to revamp, Reverend Dixon and those who was left tried to revamp that Canaanite temple. And that particular temple followed in the footsteps, or they were still associating themselves with Dr. Suleiman. That was the Canaanite temple that he was associated with. And I want to say the corporation papers go back to 1922. I got them all in my archives as well, but I'm not going into that right now. We just want to give you some background, on how you have Moors claim to be, for the prophet, but in all actuality, they get ammunition and give it to individuals to try to tear the movement down. So, self-proclaimed Sheikh Wa'el, was feeding this European information, and the European took the information and went left, so to speak. Then Sheikh Wa'el, in his book, called himself trying to go in opposition of this one. There's another book that came out too, The Princes and the Prophet, written by Jacob Dorman. It also give reference to those who were supposed to be for the prophet, but they were feeding information to this European. Even Sadiel signed the autograph in the book. These Moors try to act like they so much in defense of the prophet. And then, to the extent that one was boasting, well, this European did something that the Moors ain't been able to do. Nobody never wrote no history. And I read the book, and the book is straight garbage. And you got the Exhuming of a Nation Ben wrote, and it gave one of the most extensive histories of the prophet. And this one give credit to the European. I'm talking about Sadiel right now. But see, we straightforward with you. We don't play no games. We gonna call the names out. We ain't gonna shoot indirect. We want you to know exactly what we saying. And anybody else can take it how they want to. We ain't dealing with no beefing. We just giving you the truth. And if one didn't want this measure to be out here, then they shouldn't have did it. So, nevertheless, the name was soon changed to the Moorish Science Temple of America, is what he claiming. And at that time, Noble Ali was known as Professor Drew, the Egyptian adept. So, if you look at him, and there was another European, I want to say Fatih Abdat, that also came up with another piece of information in regards to dealing with the prophet. These are all those who came up out of nowhere and just started writing, and they guessing. And many Moors took this as scholarship. You had Seti, who had rose up years ago. It was Seti, and then you had Dr. Ali Muhammad. And all of this back and forth started to be clashing in the conscious community. This is where the beefing started at. And I was sitting back watching this go down, and it very well upsetted me because ones were disrespecting the elders. I didn't care whether you were disrespecting the prophet or, any other elder. Marcus Mosai Garvey, I felt like nobody should have been disrespecting any of our elders. And so I even reached out to Seti in the forum and told him he was an agent, and if he wanted to set up a time to get at me, then I'm here. Most of the one that slandered the prophet, you'll see I even made rebuttal videos years ago to Ali Muhammad as well. And each time I reached out to these ones, they backpedaled. Even Lord Abba, I had him on a call, me, him, and the brother Rogers Bay, and he hung up when we was getting ready to demonstrate the dialogue. Lord Abba did. So where are these individuals now? The smoke is clear. The Moors and all the conscious community is divided, and most of them are quiet now. Ask yourself, why is that? You see? Because it was the job of individuals to come into this movement, divide it, and separate the Moors and different groups against each other and have them in conflict. And now their job is done. You know, they have received what it is that they were supposed to receive. You know, a little shallow moment in fame in the spotlight. And now they church mouth quiet. But this is about shake, weigh, hell. We ain't talking about all the rest of them, you know, because we'll deal with that at another time. We want to deal with what's been going on in our own house first and foremost. Right? Islam, Moorish kin. Gratitude to all of you that are in this thread listening. Brother Amin Aru Gibra Bey and Brother Thaddeus Bennett Bey. Yeah, we going to put these ones out here on Front Street. So here again is Sheikh Way Hell with his man-made medallion that he have in his hand. Well, all of them man-made, but we know this one right here is mostly definitely made by a corner man. You know, look at this. You know, all black. Black, according to science, mean death. You know, but he represented it though, right? But this, we're going to get into that one in a minute. I ain't going to really go into the real exposure yet. I want you to see this because this is very important. Now, this particular document here, Moorish kin, this was a document that came about when me and Lord Blabber, aka Sheikh Way Hell, had a dialogue on Facebook. Look how long ago this was. See, Wisdom told me to copy and paste this whole conversation. September 18, 2012. He had did a post about the tribe of Shabazz. But a lot of this information was based upon information that he had got from a previous post that I had demonstrated prior to that. And he ended up writing a book off of it and everything. But prior to him writing this post, he actually tried to rebut me on this same information. And the website might be out there when I went into the website, you know, and put it all out there. But so this is a part of some of that information that was being put out there. And I responded to the post. Because, you know, I've been demonstrating this science here for a minute. You know, that's why my attribute, you know, is known as Shabazz El. I always carried that attribute, you know. And he just got a whole bunch of information. I'm just trying to get to the conversation to show you how crafty Wands is. So, let me see. See, I got archives over here. I tell you, I keep everything. I don't throw nothing away. I want to show you when I came into this because I seen it after I had put this information out here. You see Maliki Fard is in here, the brother that be online. And I actually responded to the thread. And I was saying that, and this is when I had my name here as Al-Mohadiz, you know, Shabazz El. You know, many people probably remember it. So I was showing that the word Shabazz goes back to Shah Habashi and Habasha. I went into the Aksumite dynasty and Habasi, and I was describing everything, and I went to showing how, you know, this had to do with the Mu, Moor, and the Moorian, El-Moorian, Lumorian. You know, I went into Aden, Atim, Atum, Atman. You know, I was basically etymology. Through etymology, I was breaking all of this down and showing that this is basically dealing with the Moors at the end of the day. And so I also said here, I showed him here the teachings that they was demonstrating in the NOI, you know, in confirmation of what I was saying. You know, I ran all of that down to it. And after I ran that down, I went into the etymology deeper into the word Shabazz and showed him it came from Seba, Shabazz, Sabah, Sabazius, Shabazz, and showed him how it pretty much evolved and how the word actually means 7. You know, the sacred number of Allah, perfection. You know, so he at this time thanked me for my portion, right? This is Lord Abba, Sheikh Wahel. So I began to demonstrate with the brothers again, just giving them insight and the information. You know, I was telling them the connection is in the mystic teachings of Yehoshua, where the term Allah's temple is mentioned, hence Allah's temple. This name was taken from our adept degrees, and the land of 5 rivers is another region where the tribe of Shabazz was located in the region of Shabazi-Garhi, where the 21 edicts of Ashoka are located, whom our holy prophet also mentioned. I say we must teach this link between the MST, well, the NOI and the MST of A, that we be one again. The adept teachings as taught by Sheikh Elijah Muhammad are manifest in the theology of time. I say many, however, have abandoned this work out of frustration and a lack of comprehension. LTPF and J, gratitude, God, man, for allowing the post. Right? So he say Islam and honors more. So I went on. Now remember, this 2012, we in 2020 now, more. This show you how long I've been demonstrating on the front line. So I said I went into the main site of the Indus Valley civilization in the Punjab, or the Punjabi region, is the city of Harappa. And then the Indus Valley civilization spanned much of what is today Pakistan and eventually evolved into the Indo-Iranian civilization, or Indo-Aryan civilization. And the arrival of the Indo-Aryans led to the flourishing of the Vedic civilization along the length of the Indus River. This civilization shaped the subsequent cultures in South Asia and Afghanistan. You know, basically I go into all this history because, you know, they also came up with, if you look, you will find Das Shabazz Kalat. You see? And then you find Shabazz also means king of falcons, a royal falcon, which actually deals with Heru, you know, which he is, you know, the prince of the king. You know, the king of the falcon is Alsar. That's a whole nother measure. I also went into his history. You know, speaking of the Iranian history, Shabazz. In the Persian mythology, Shabazz is the god who helped the Iranians, you see, and guided Farvahar to Iran and Zaman. Then I went into the etymology again, Baz, Bes, of ancient Kemet, Abzu. If you ever read the teachings of the 12th planet and the Anunnaki, you find that Apsu, Shepsu. That's where you find my name is Shepsu-El. You see? That's why it is Shabazz, but Shepsu in the Comedian language. You know, that's where all that come from. So I kept going on, you know, just contributing to the post. I say the whole of the Arabian Peninsula, Havilah, was inhabited by a tribe known as the Sheba or Siba, as well being the Dandanites who spoke Medunetta, a.k.a. Mudar, all from the line of the Cushite seed of Ham. And then I said Ham equals K, which is Cam. When you add the K to Ham, you get Cam, basically. I say these were the same people of the Hindu Kushites of the Vedic civilization, and the Vedas calculated time as far back as 311 trillion years ago. The sage Vidyapati of the Hindus is mentioned in the Circle 7 as one of the 7 adepts who taught Yehoshua. I say herein lies the root of the theology of time as taught by Elijah by the noble master Farad Muhammad, Genesis and gene of Isis and all Set, which is the mother of nature. So I begin to run the history down on the mathematics here. And I say, these are the generations of the heaven and the earth when they were created in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. I'm reading all this because this is what sparked the deepest aspect of the conflict. You're going to see what happened. You notice how Lord Abba been responding through all of these posts, Islam, gratitude, grand measure, more, and all this, right? So I went verses 4 through 7, Genesis chapter 2, mathematically. 4 plus 7 equals 11, which 11 represents 11 epochs of time. I say these verses refer to the beginning before the plants, trees, and vegetation came into existence. These verses are the missing verses of Genesis chapter 1. Hence, chapter 1 should read, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, let there be light. There was light, and then I added those 4 verses from chapter 2, which say, these are the generations of the heaven and the earth when they were created in the day the Lord God made the heavens and the earth and every plant of the field, for it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground, but there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed it into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Now it ain't strange that if you read the book of Joshua, the way that I added those 4 verses from chapter 2 in Genesis, that's exactly how it reads out, from verse 1 into the here. And this is before I read the book of Joshua. But then it states, I said, these 7 verses represent man in his complete make, 66 trillion years ago. I say, we have concluded that the 6 days of Genesis really represent 6 periods of our trillion-year cycle. 1 trillion times 6 equals 6 trillion. You see? I say 6 trillion times the 11 epochs equals 66 trillion years ago. Then I said Autumn equals Allah, the original man, the Shabazi rule. Counting back in the time to verse 2, I say we come to find this is equivalent to 12 epochs. Then I say counting back, 6 trillion times 12, that's 72 trillion years. The birth of our solar system through the evolution of autumn rock. And so I'm breaking all this stuff down, Then I went into the 6 trillion times 12 equals the 12th planet incline of the mothership, Nibiru. 72 trillion years. Then I went into verse 1. So I was tracing these demonstrations all the way back from verses 3, 2, and Genesis 1, along with the math that I was given. So I say verse 1 equals the first epoch plus 12. And then I said this right here equals 13 epochs, the 13th tribe. And I said 6 trillion times 13 equals 78 trillion years. 78 trillion years minus 2 trillion years equals 76 trillion years, which is Autumn, Allah, the original mind. So I was showing him the Comedian teachings that are hidden within the theology of time. And I say, remember, Seb of ancient Kemet is the father of Osiris, the father of Heru, the falcon. Islamic mystics of Sufism makes reference to Shabazi Ruh, the noble spirit. Hence Shabaz Heru, the royal falcon, and Al-Sar, the king of falcons. And then the brother Marlon El Haj Shabazz, who's still on Facebook, say this is alone. It took me 2 days to read through it. And so I gave them links here that they could go to. And then I began to break down the concept of uh, the Shabazi Ruah, the noble spirit, going high into oneness with the great God Allah, ascending in a period that seems as if it was 50,000 years. So this is Sufi science that was taught before Farad even began to bring these teachings to the West, so to speak. And so one brother say, Islam, more I've heard some theories that the Asiatic black man is really the Dravidian South India. Dr. Ben taught that the Habaru actually came from India. Based upon your research, do you find correlation between the Dravidians and us? If you go back up, you'll see that I covered that, already, but the brother was asking me this question. And so, I went back and I responded to the brother, and I broke down some science that was dealing with a universal draw, so to speak. I went to talking about Deuce Ali. I went to talking about Marcus Garvey, and broke down a whole bunch of other aspects about the prophet, a whole bunch of stuff I went into. Then I went into the prophet, being initiated into the mysteries of the Pyramid University of Islamism. I went into all of that history and ran certain other aspects of it down. And it's a whole lot. I don't want to go through just reading all of this stuff right here and wasting the moment, but I broke a lot of stuff down that showed connections between the Moors and the NOI, mainly, dealing with a lot of science. And this is what the brother Lord Abba came and said. Islam, first and foremost, to all upon this thread, let me state what this brother Al-Muhaddiz El-Hajj has posted is not what the MST of A teaches at all. It is merely a hodgepodge of pseudo-history. This must be clarified because everybody that called themselves Moor does not follow Noble Drew Ali. Now, if you go back up, you'll notice he was Islam Moor, Great Measure Moor. And so when he seen me put the science out there, trying to unite the Moors and show them their links and connections to each other, he attacked my posts. And so, as he went through that right there, we kept going back and forth. I told the brother, yeah, here it go. This is where I began to expose it. He say, Islam, my research is this note. If you read the note, you will see my logic based on my research. And so I say, all the research Abba takes claim for about Shabazz derives from the info provided to him months ago by myself. I say he's correct on his post. I have the most accurate knowledge on this subject matter and more that I haven't posted. Study my previous posts and you would have a clear conception. And then he said, Islam, all this brother Al-Muhaddiz El-Hajj is a very dishonest brother. I have expressed to this brother by phone. I never read his information for him to post this after I told him this in person is a crying shame. And you read the illogical information he posted on this thread, you will see none of it matched up with what I'm dropping on this note. So he tried to defend the fact that months prior to this, he had taken from a measure where he was trying to rebut information before. So nevertheless, basically trying to shuffle. So, it went on. And I say, Islam more, navigate the 7 seas of love. For our holy prophet came teaching our people to love instead of hate. I say, I will not post again on your thread, Islam. May Allah guide you to a path which is straight, brother. I have conveyed the message. And then, I went on ahead and got out of the thread from that point. So he came on our conference call and called himself attacking the government about the flag. The chairman let him speak, but when the chairman started giving him insight, he got upset and he hung up the phone. And this is what caused a lot of that conflict that he came up with. So this showed me that this brother was, one that moved with ways that was serpent-like, you know. But I didn't really pay too much attention to it until I sat back and seen the majority of his work. So we find out years later